and thanks for joining us on our show, Basic Concepts and the Wisdom of Kabbalah with Dr. Michael Laitman. Hello, Dr. Laitman. Hello. On our show, we'll take a concept. Today, we'll take a concept from this tremendous wisdom and try and explain it in the closest and most emotional way for a person who just started studying. And our concept for today is Tzimtzum, restriction. When I hear the word restriction, what comes to mind are things like lack, restricting yourself, difficulty, seclusion, different things that aren't that great. And I wanted to ask you, when you hear the word restriction, do you feel the same? Restriction is a celebration, it's a holiday, because if a person reaches restriction, that he knows how to restrict himself of the ego from receiving, then it is something that there is nothing better, nothing higher, because spirituality starts from restriction and on. Is it a festive action? It is. It is the first spiritual, most powerful action that is set. It's a celebration? Yeah, if a person has the power to restrict his egoistic desires, then really it is an entrance into the upper world. Where do you enter? The world of restriction, which is what? It is that a person can restrict his will to receive and not to receive for himself. But if he does receive, then it's only for the sake, to the benefit of others. It sounds kind of like a bummer. Why? What do you mean for the sake of others? Meaning that I want to give to others, to the Creator, to something outside of me, someone outside of me, then the first act that I need to perform is to restrict my desire to receive. But why would I want to give? I'm more about wanting to receive. That's true. This is our nature. We are all 100% only into this. But if I want to come closer to the Creator, understand Him, feel Him, touch Him, then I need to first and foremost perform an act of restriction where I don't receive or no longer receive for myself, just like the Creator doesn't receive for Himself. He is entirely in order to bestow, and He's into giving and bestowing outwards. And if I want to be like the Creator, gradually I need to become like Him. And so restriction is the first action that I need to perform. It says, the wisdom of Kabbalah says that the Creator has created the created beings with the desire to receive pleasure. And this is what I identify most with, that we all consist of the will to receive pleasure. It seems very natural. We want to enjoy, get everything out of life. Now you're saying, look, the Creator created you with the desire to receive pleasure, but if you want to touch the Creator, what do you need? You need to abstain yourself from the innate pleasure from reception, rise above it to a level where you want nothing, and after that, you open yourself to receiving, but on condition that by that you give pleasure to the Creator, that the Creator enjoys, that you receive. What do I get as a result? That you give Him pleasure. What do I get? What do I get? You get pleasure from giving to the Creator. That's considered spiritual pleasure? Yeah. So what motivates me now is the desire to receive corporeal pleasures. Corporeal meaning for yourself. Okay. And there is a different world, different state. Okay, different state where I will receive spiritual pleasure. Yeah. And what makes it spiritual that it's not for myself? Right? Then who is it for? It's outside of you. Outside of me where? Suppose that it's for me, for him, for someone, as long as it's not for yourself. Okay, so this really turns around the way I think, but suppose I get it, what you're talking about, what happens then? Then you can receive, and the pleasure that you will receive will be entirely in order to bestow to others, as if the direction, the vector changed, right? And where's the restriction in the transition between these two states? In between? That you say that I no longer receive for myself. No longer receive for myself. It's a kind of condition for entering the spiritual world, right? It's like you sign a document that you won't take anything for yourself from the treasure that opens up to you, right? So what do you get as a result? You get pleasure by delighting the Creator. I don't understand what you're saying. There is a condition. If you receive for yourself, then you receive. And you can't receive more than what you have in this world that you see now. This entire world's spread before you. But if you want to give contentment to the Creator, if you have a certain inclination to reveal Him, who's the Creator, by the way? The upper force that has created you and that sustains you until you will grow and become like Him. What does it mean to be like Him? To bestow to others, to be good, to want to give, right, to whom? To everyone. Because that's what the Creator wants, to give to everyone. Right. And if I have that desire, then what? Then you will feel what the Creator feels. What does He feel? Then you'll feel. So these are all the things that I can't grasp now in my world. Right. Previously, you talked about the world of restriction. There's a world that opens to a person after the restriction. Right. After a person restricts himself from receiving to his own benefit, then to him opens the so-called world of restriction, and there he can start receiving in order to bestow. It's like what? Different things that I don't see now open up to him? Right. Like what? I can't tell you, because it's impossible to describe. Good things? Of course, good things, such that you don't have in this world at all, no recollection of them. But mainly the thing is that you can start enjoying delighting others. So restriction is like a kind of elevator that takes me from this current world to something better, more exciting, greater pleasures, and the restrictions in between, like this elevator that takes me in between these 2 degrees. Suppose. Okay. So because this topic is so serious, I have a few practical questions. Intuitively, when I hear the word restriction, it reminds me of seclusion, something that makes you suffer. Is it really so? I don't know how to express it, communicate it to you. A person feels it to the measure to which he somehow discovers the greatness of the Creator. If the Creator is revealed to him as something great, then man is happy to make a restriction over himself and not receive anything, but to perform such actions that will give contentment to the Creator. But it's all only to the measure and way to which the Creator is revealed as great. Does a person seclude himself? No, it's not seclusion or anything. He simply wants to give contentment to the Creator. If I restrict my desire to smoke or to eat sweets because I'm told, look, it's harmful to you, is it a restriction according to the wisdom of Kabbalah? No. If, according to the wisdom of Kabbalah, you perform a restriction over things that give you pleasure in this world, it's not considered restriction. It could be a diet and other limitations. Okay, another example. If I restrict my desire at the end of my day, instead of watching TV, I go and keep my old parents company so they won't feel alone. Is this a part of restriction? No, but it's nonetheless something that brings you closer. Suppose I have the desire to save money, but I say, I want to invite my friend Michael to a restaurant. I wanted to save money, but instead I took you out. Is it a restriction? No, but do it. So you give me an example. What is a restriction? Restriction means something that is very tasty, very pleasant, really fulfills me, but I do it. But I restrict myself from doing it because in the desire or the desire that I'm now restricting, I can use it to benefit the Creator. Can you give me a precise example? I gave you a few and you said that it's not it. I don't know how to... Suppose that these examples are really clean, but I really want, because it's hard to express it in our world, but I really want something and I'm not getting it because it stands in my way of performing a certain action that is favorable in the eyes of the Creator. What actions are favorable in His eyes? Connecting with the friends, different actions of bestowal toward others. Suppose I like eating. I like in the morning, I like going to the beach. I like riding my bike on weekends. Do I need to restrict myself in order to develop spiritually, not do these things? No. So what do I need to restrict in order to develop spiritually? I need to restrict my actions in which I enjoy the action itself and that it has no intention whatsoever for the Creator, for benefiting the Creator, meaning that in this action I don't feel that it connects me to the Creator. What do you mean? That I perform this action to His benefit. Does restriction have to do with my relationships with someone else? Yeah. What do I need to restrict in my relations or relationship with someone else? You can restrict your actions with other people in order to gain time and power and in order to bring bestowal to the world. What do you get out of restriction? Restriction brings peace to the world, wholeness and perfection, bringing a person closer to the Creator, disclosing the Creator and bringing him closer to people, making a general correction in the world. So, if you can give a simple definition of what is a restriction according to the wisdom of Kabbalah. Restriction means that a person restricts his desire to receive, even though that he really wants to use it, but he restricts it because instead of that, he can perform an act of bestowal. I, as a student who takes interest in Kabbalah, need to do about the restriction? Nothing. You only need to study. People that come to study the wisdom of Kabbalah, they just need to study more and more and more until they inflate themselves with examples of different sorts. And then, through connection with other students, they will get an understanding of how to perform a restriction and spiritual bestowal. Can you describe what will happen after the restriction? Suppose I advance and reach this state called restriction. What do I feel now that I didn't feel before? After the restriction, you feel what an act of bestowal is, what fills you as a result of wanting to bestow, that you want to benefit, that you want to fulfill others, and along with it, possibly you will feel a certain connection or relation to the Creator. Kabbalists say that restriction is the beginning of my spiritual development. Why? Because you restrict your desire to receive, which is the entire force that we have in this world. And then you have nothing else left. Frightening, I'd say, that you're left with nothing. No, that you have no will to receive left because you restrict it. It doesn't disappear. You only restrict it. And then what happens? After that, you become free. And then you do not subdue, give in to your desire to receive. You're not in a state where it criticizes you, arranges you, in order for you to do things one way or another, like we do all the time. We're controlled by our desire to receive. Right now, too? Of course, and only by it. What do you mean? That from morning till evening, I want just one thing: to sit, eat, drink, rest. These are things dictated by the desire to receive. So I restrict it. I want to sit, rest, do, travel. You want to use all of these things in a restricted manner, which is only in order to give your body the strength, the power to advance towards spirituality, the revelation of the Creator, connection with the Creator. You're saying that if you'll be focused only on the desire to receive, rest, hang out, have a good time, you'll have no room for a higher desire for connection with the Creator through others, through other people, to the Creator. So what does it mean to restrict all the corporeal desires? It's not that I run away from the world. No, of course not. It means that you don't want to receive anything from the world if it is not to the benefit of the world, that it is to the benefit of others and to the benefit of the Creator. This means to be a spiritual being, that everything that a person does is not only for himself, but for the Creator and for everyone. Yeah? So such a person doesn't disappear from the world. He continues going to work, earning money, traveling, eating tasty food. He looks like any other person in the world, but he has higher intentions in his mind. Yeah? What are these higher intentions? What intentions does a Kabbalist have? He wants that from everything that he thinks, the world will benefit from it and the Creator. So what did he restrict? First of all, the thoughts about or to his own benefit. So this is what it's about. It's like he changes his mindset. Yeah, changes his mindset. Right. From this point on, he's thinking only to the benefit of others and the Creator. How do I start performing the restriction? I understand why it's important. What do I gain? What's the first step? It's good if you will find a group in which there are people that have the same goal as you do. And you'll become engaged in that. If I decide, Owen, from this day on, you restrict all the thoughts that are to your benefit and open all thoughts to the benefit of the world, the Creator, mainly that it won't be for your sake. Will it work if I'll tell myself, Owen, restrict yourself? You need to study the wisdom of Kabbalah. You need to be in a group that it too aspires for the same goal. If I decide to do it, will it happen? Yes, because I have the power to make a restriction over myself. Yes, everyone does. What's the connection between studying the wisdom of Kabbalah and restricting yourself? If you study with the intention of attaining the power of bestowal, which is the quality of the Creator, then by that you attain this force and can really start feeling the spiritual force, spiritual field, spiritual world that we're in. We're in a spiritual field, even now. Yeah? What is a spiritual field? You don't feel it, and that's why it doesn't seem to you. It's like you don't feel radio waves, but obviously they're here. If you open a radio receiver, then you know that they're here. But previously they weren't here. You don't feel them. Same with spirituality. Previously you don't feel that there is spirituality around you, and now that I told you, and you wish to achieve a spiritual quality, then to the extent to which you have developed this spiritual quality in you, you can feel that that quality, that force is around you. So the restriction is like my ticket to starting to feel spiritual reality. Yeah. But what is there about it? What does the restriction do? The restriction is the condition by which you can feel the Creator or the spiritual world, which are one and the same. Why can't I feel it without a restriction? Because you don't have the same power, the same quality, the same intention in order to bestow to the benefit of others. You're not in it. And therefore, first and foremost, you need to learn how do you come to establish yourself in the quality of bestowal. It says that a person reaches restriction only after he comes to the recognition of evil. What is that? That you try to reach the force of bestowal. And you try to perform different acts of bestowal, then you see how incapable you are, that there's nothing about you that can benefit you, that can help you be in the quality of bestowal, and that's called the recognition of evil. And then you reach a shattering, that you cry out and demand of the Creator for Him to help you acquire the quality of bestowal. Ask Him to help me restrict myself. Suppose restrict yourself. There are many ways to express it. What exactly do I want for Him to restrict in me? To your ego? For Him to restrict it? Yeah. For me to have a smaller ego? Or no ego at all? There's no person with no ego. What do you care? You ask. If you'll discover that it's bad, then you'll ask for Him to take it back. So there's a kind of twist that I don't get. The Creator created me as the desire to receive pleasure, and I tell Him, take it away? Because you want to use your desire to receive differently in order to pass it on to others. And this is what you want to enjoy. This is what the Creator thinks. He enjoys giving others? Exactly. So I, Oren, become like the Creator? That's why I told me that the restriction feels like kind of holiday? Right. Suppose more and more people in the world will start understanding the meaning of the restriction. How will it affect our life, our world? What will happen? The world will improve. will improve a lot. Everyone will want to bestow onto each other. Today it's the opposite. On all levels, between people, between businesses, on the international level, the ego is skyrocketing. Everyone sees only their own interest. Even if I sign some agreement with you, I see only my own interest. We need to restrict all that, right? It's like becoming different people. True? Is it possible? Can humanity do it? It can't, but it will get such conditions that it will have no choice. What kind? Very difficult conditions that it is impossible to continue living in the desire to receive, where everyone thinks only about themselves. Right. Will reach an end? Right? What happened after this end? There will come the restriction. After this edge, there's either death or a good life. One of the two. Okay, going back to me. You taught me many things about restriction. In your opinion, what's the most important thing to remember about the restriction? That if we want to reach upper pleasures, divine pleasures, then we need to perform a restriction over the desire to receive, the corporeal desire to receive. What do you wish me and my spiritual development in relation to the concept of restriction from heart to heart? What do you wish? Success in understanding that to receive is bad, but it needs to be something on the inside. Not that you don't receive nothing from this world. No, you don't need to be any kind of monk or seclude yourself. What then? You need to learn how do you get rid of the intention in order to receive. That even if you do receive, you pass it on. You do it to the benefit of the world. Meaning, first of all, we need to get to know ourselves, the world, the systems of man and the world, and then we will get the understanding of how do we even receive different pleasures, but convey them to the benefit of the world. So anything I receive will be with the intention for this pleasure to flow through me. Right, through you, and then you will feel all these pleasures, but it doesn't mean that you're receiving. So it's like a kind of upgrade. The upgrade is very simple. You need to love everyone. Like a mom that gets nothing out of feeding the children, but how happy she is and really feels that she's the one getting the pleasure, that she's the one getting the fulfillment. Is it possible to say that she's restricted in relation to her children? Yeah, but on a natural level. And okay, so on a supernatural level, need to be restricted this way toward. Right, you got it. Dr. Laitman, thank you very much. Thank you for being with us. Basic concepts and the wisdom of Kabbalah, restriction, all the best.